so much for watching Mommy Did You Know? I'm so excited to share this video with you. Today we're actually going to talk about breastfeeding barriers. We're going to talk about flat nipples, inverted nipples, along with breast changes that sometimes occur if you had breast surgery, such as breast augmentations and breast reductions. I know that this will help you guys so much. This is also one of the segments of my breastfeeding and pumping course that you can find the whole video series on my playlist, breastfeeding and pumping course. And if you can just subscribe, that would be fantastic to grow my channel, and I know that this will be a blessing to you guys.
Mommy, did you know?
So for the second breastfeeding barrier that I want to talk about is actually kind of something controversial and something that not a lot of people want to talk about, but that's actually flat and inverted nipples. So I'm just gonna be honest with you, Mom. Not everybody looks like the book. Not everybody looks like the textbook, and that is perfectly fine. Sometimes you won't have that beautiful breastfeeding nipple that they show you in the videos. Sometimes your nipples might be a little flat, or sometimes they might even be inverted. Or sometimes you might have had a breast augmentation or other types of breast surgeries, and your nipple might not exactly look like the textbook. That is okay. You can still breastfeed. By the way, fun fact, breast augmentation does not necessarily mean that you will not be able to breastfeed. Breast augmentation sometimes means that your storage capacity might be a little bit decreased, but your production will still pretty much be the same. As for reduction, sometimes it comes in the way of your milk production because you're taking away the breast tissue. So even though you had breast surgery, Mommy, it does not mean that you're not able to breastfeed. I just want to point that out there because a lot of people assume that if they had breast surgery, they cannot breastfeed. So it's really important to know that the option is there, but you want to make sure, be observant of your baby, make sure that they're eating enough, staying hydrated, they have all those pees, poops, and they're up to date with their weight. So let's say you have flat or inverted nipples. You can still breastfeed. And I'm gonna say another thing that's very controversial, but me personally, I do not like nipple shields. One, I think it kind of takes away from the baby and mommy being able to bond, being connected. And two is actually it's really difficult to wean the baby off of the nipple shields. Very few people actually need a nipple shield, sometimes if they're inverted, but most babies can still form, they call it a teat, with flat nipples. So most babies can still suction out a flat nipple. So what you can do, number one, if you have a flat or inverted nipple, it is very important that you stay up to date with your lactation counselor. You get seen in the hospital and make sure that your baby's being seen by the pediatrician as well. And then put the baby skin to skin with you, and what you can do is actually manually express a little bit and stimulate that nipple to help retract it. Most flat nipples actually come out if you use your finger or you stimulate a little bit. Most flat nipples actually come out, and that's such a miraculous thing. So number two, manually with your hand. If you're doing that, number two is actually can use a manual pump. So hand pumps, I personally like the Medela pump, but you can use whatever hand pump that you want, and you can actually use it for a few seconds to a minute just to kind of stimulate and invert the nipple a little bit. Then you can latch on the baby, and usually that works. If you have inverted nipples, usually still your baby might be able to retract it, so you just kind of play it by ear, see what works for your baby. Another thing to note, engorgements causes flat nipples sometimes, believe it or not. But if you are really engorged, sometimes that breast is so hard that your nipple actually sometimes goes in. So if your nipple is flat or inverted because of engorgement, you have to fix the source of the problem, right? So what you have to do is you have to fix the engorgement part. So engorgement, you can use the cabbage leaves, you can help stimulate a little bit to soften the breast just enough to retract the nipple. You can do all these different types of things. So that is my breastfeeding barrier class for flat and inverted nipples.